So go ahead and turn on your Inspire. And then I'll show you where I got this menu already. How many people have an Inspire? Okay, then those without your graphing calculator today, that's why I'm taping this, so you know what to do here. I guess I should delete this. I wonder if I could just get this back. I'm very bad at this calculator, so just bear with me. It's going to be fun video. Okay, now, so you want to get to the main screen. 84s, get your 84 fired up and ready to go. If you have an upgraded one, we'll be with you like momentarily. But I think the Inspires can get started, and watch what I do with the 84 after I do this. Your button for a matrix is right where I'm pointing, right next to the 9, just to the right of the 9. Now, I know sometimes people have different Inspires, like an older one with a faceplate, but I think it was really in that same spot. When I hit that, actually a whole bunch of math script comes up. A lot of things you might be aware of and want to see throughout the year. Real good stuff, but you got to be right there. See where I'm pointing? That is a matrix of any dimension. And I actually already got it set up for 3 rows by 3 columns, which is what this one is. I guess I'm going ahead of myself, though. Why am I using matrices to solve this? Like, how do I solve for x on this? What am I going to have to do to both sides? It's not divide. How do I get rid of this matrix out in front? Multiply by the inverse. And I didn't show you how to find an inverse of a 3 by 3. Back in the day, we did do it. It is a very long, tedious process by hand. So we're going to use the calculator for that. Okay, so what you guys got to do is 3 by 3, but now let me go to the 84. Now the first people I'm really going to deal with are maybe Inspires can handle this, because what we do on this is exactly what we do on an upgraded 84. So you should be able to follow along. We're going to go ahead and, okay, let's call this matrix A. And it's times x, and that's matrix B. Let's just give them names. And you already said, what do I have to do to get rid of this matrix A out in front? What do I have to do? Multiply by the inverse of A. You got to shove this right in front of this B as well on the left because of the lack of a commutative property with matrices. As a Fedormac, you can't even multiply B times inverse A. Doesn't work. Okay, so that's what we're going to accomplish on our calculator. So now, upgraded. Pay attention. If you have an upgraded 84, you can check right now. Hit the alpha button. Zoom. So alpha zoom. How many people have this menu come up? Raise your hand. You have an upgraded 84. If you did not get that, wait till my next example. How many people did not get that with an 84? Raise your hand. One person. I don't know. Hopefully, there's not a lot of hands. I have 30 students. 7 total students raised their hand in all those questions. Anywho, let's move on. So it's kind of similar to the Inspire. What you got to do, you got to select the amount of rows, amount of columns. Press OK, and now we have a blank slate to type in a matrix, just like the Inspires. And at this point, we want to type in these numbers. 1. This is going to make exciting video time. I think use the arrow Inspires. Don't press enter. It gets you out of the matrix. Never see through the wormhole? Okay, good. Well, this is good conversation. It's an exciting day today. One of the episodes is titled, Are We Actually in the Matrix? Just think about it. It's just all a simulation. And we're just some of the players. Anyway, just thought that'd be something to mention while we're doing matrices. Now, what do I have to do to this? What do I have to do to this? I have to take the what of it. What did we just say? You're all comatose on a Monday. Inverse. So what's the inverse look like? What does it look like? What's the notation for that? A matrix, I have it on the paper. A matrix raised to the negative first. So when you speak, you're actually, activating your brain. So I want to take the inverse of that times this matrix right here. All right? So just going along with this so that again, it's alpha zoom for me to get another matrix. What are the dimensions of this one right here? 3 by 1, so I have to press 1. For an Inspire, you should be able to be doing the exact same thing. All right? I showed you where the menu is. All the clicks after that are the same. You get the matrix out there, and then you pull these numbers and put them in there. So I will still hold you to task, showing that you know the process of dealing with matrices without a calculator. But then I'd like you to, be able to do more complicated stuff with the calculator to get these answers. So X is actually a matrix: -3, 1, -2. Okay, now what that means is if I put that right here, this times that answer would equal this. So I can very easily check that answer by pulling this matrix out again and multiplying it by this one. Not the inverse of it, though, just the regular matrix of it. Aight? Now let's go to the unupgraded 84s. Okay, and I'm going to go to the next one. All right, and then you can play along and do your own. I don't think I'm even doing this one. I will show you, though. It is weird on an Inspire what you have to do. You actually have to type the letters DET, then type in this matrix, and it'll give you the determinant of that matrix. So if you want to play ahead, go ahead, Inspires. But I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Hey, I have an idea. Let's call this matrix A times X. Let's call this matrix B, and let's call this matrix C. All 84s have the following option. This is the original matrix menu. So I'm going to go to the 84 and pretend I don't have these buttons and I wasn't allowed to do any of this. Clear. By the way, what do I have to do to get X all by its lonesome because it's antisocial like Mr. S? Now multiply. That's not the first step. Subtract. So you'd subtract B from both sides. Then what? Divide? This is matrix world. We're in the matrix right now. What do I have to multiply by? The inverse. And this is how it's going to shake out, everybody. Inverse of A times C minus B. And all I'm going to do is type in A, B, and C. I made management choices, who I named what matrix. A, B, and C are just names. Now I'm going to go into my graphing calculator for those that don't have an upgraded one and show you your menu. 84s that are upgraded, if you like this option, go ahead. So right above X to the negative first, the matrix button. So second matrix. Now I have a whole bunch of matrices typed in here because of what we did previous in the day. I'm not even sure how I can delete them. It doesn't matter. If you have something listed here or nothing, we're going to change them. So go over to Edit, and I'm going to edit A. I'm going to make A the one that's multiplied by X because of what I labeled up here, talking about what we needed to do. So when I hit Enter on Edit, I want to go back and make this a 2 by 2, and then physically type in these numbers. And I think it is Enter, actually, happily. -7, -9, 4, a yawn over there, 5, student sleeping. All right, what's bad about this is I have to get out of this menu and then back in and then out and then in. So it is a little bit more work. Now notice that's 2 by 2 is saved. Now I'm going to go to 2 and edit 2. Now remember, you have to go to Edit, not Names, Edit, Enter, and then do a 2 by 2 again. Now once you do this a couple times, it's not so bad. And I like the idea that I can just hit Enter. It seems faster for me. All right, one more time. Exciting video. Go to Edit, C. So you can see this takes a lot longer, I think, than, well, it would have taken a little while with the other methods as well. Oh, that is it, right? So I already got it from the other hour. All right, now guess what? Second quit. Go out to the main screen. And then this is exactly what you type right here. This is why I did what I did. I did it by hand thinking, what do I have to do in order to solve this? Now all I have to do is type exactly that on my main screen because I have all the matrices typed in the way I wanted them typed in. So back in the day, this is how we did it. Second matrix. I start with A. How do I get the inverse of A? What do I have to snap on it? What do I have to put on it? Negative first. I do need parentheses. C minus B. Go back to matrix. Just stay in the names. That's what the names mean. Which one do you want to pull out to the main screen to do calculations? And then 2 is B. Or not to be. Boom. Shaka. Anyone? Laka. Hit resume. For evaluating the determinant of this matrix, you basically, all you have to do, I'm going to cancel that for an inspire, is just type the letters D, E, T. I couldn't find the T. Then hit this, hit that, enter, and then do a 3x3, okay, and then I might have needed parentheses. I think I might need parentheses, I'm not sure. And then you type in those numbers and go from there. For an 84, whether you have a fancy schmancy one or not, you have to go to the matrix menu to evaluate determinants and then go to math. What's the first thing that you see right there, everybody? DET, determinant. Okay, so you have to type DET parenthesis and then go ahead and type in the matrix or put it in your menu and then go from there. Right? And then I like this application, but I did do this with the other hour. This would be kind of a long multiplication. It wouldn't be that bad. But how do I know if A and B are inverses? How do I know? How do I know they're inverses of each other? That's just me. Who am I, though? Just some old curmudgeon that, you know. Okay, so clear. Delete, get out. I'm not doing this. The Inspire drives me nuts. I'm sorry. I hope you love your Inspire. I like this one. I'm going to do the upgraded. So, I think you get the idea that if I take these and multiply them on the screen and you get identity, you can say, what about these two? They're what? If I multiply the two and they end up being identity, they are inverses. Okay, so I'm going to cover this one more time on the Algebra 2 side. Then we're going to go to our cryptology. Ooh, I love it. A lot of good stuff. This is tough in Algebra 2. Algebra 2 students do have a rough time solving a 3x3 system algebraically. Well, that's why matrices are also good if you are allowed to have a graphing calculator to solve a 3x3 system or more. 4x4, 5x5, 5 equations, 5 variables would be just as easy as solving this equation now. Because first thing I do is make a matrix out of this. It's the only way I get anyone to talk in here. Then the second thing is unmultiply. So what I call this was the coefficient matrix. And then I said even with the 2x2s this works. Because I can unmultiply these coefficients away from the variables as such. And I'm just going to say numbers because I'm getting tired. These numbers. All right? They're ugly decimals. Now, before I continue, wouldn't you agree if I multiplied these two matrices that the first row times this one column would be 1x plus 1y plus 1z? And then look at the top. That's how you multiply matrices. If you still don't know how to multiply matrices, that's a problem. Second row, 3x minus 3y plus 2z. That's how you'd have to multiply those. And I'm not doing the third one. You should understand this at this point. Now, how do I get rid of this out in front? What do I have to do to get this xyz all by itself? Is it division? Multiply by the inverse. Now what I said, let's call this matrix A. Let's call this matrix X, I don't know, and then call this matrix B. What you have to do is multiply both sides by the inverse of A as such. And then those with the old school calculators, that's exactly what I would do. I would put this 3x3 in A. I'd put this 3x1 in B, and then go to the main screen and type inverse of A times B, and you're done. All right, but what I wanted to cover is what's inverse of A times A? And the answer is a matrix. What is the matrix? Identity. And what is identity times anything? Not identity, but the thing. Whatever it is. So 100, blah, 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 blah. That times XYZ is just XYZ. That's why this works. So I'm going to go to my 84, and I'm going to do the upgraded version. Alpha, zoom, 3 by 3, OK, 1. Oh, not enter. This one's a little bit more picky. But then when I do, okay, it did arrow over to that far right. Excellent. And then I get to share a mistake I made with first hour. Poor first hour. I'm going to explain why I made the mistake, though, or how it happened when we get into our cryptology. What do we got to put on this? Negative first power. The inverse of this times, these annoying decimals. Alpha, blah, 3 by 1, okie dokie, and then the annoying decimals. You guys already done? And then 1.804. I love showing you this because it is a good algebra skill that it's actually covering. So, what's x equal? What's x equal? 0.251. What's y equal? 0.3. What's z equal? 0.07. So if I plug those numbers in, the sum of those three numbers would be 0.621. 3 times, it would all work out. That's what solving a system means. You should at least know that. Okay, you don't. This is something part of what we found online, some helpful stuff, and it's not part of your little thing that I gave you, but this will give you an idea. So you can play along with this, and actually, I think on the next pages, check the coding. You're going to have to read, because I'm going to leave you on your own, but I'm going to go through this one. So on these pages, actually on the front of this worksheet, this is just general matrix operations. Okay, and I know online you can't see that. I'll have to put this up there if you're absent. But this first one, just matrix operations, and actually the first answer goes on to the next one if you look at the letters. So you should be able to read this and do these operations. Most of them you should be able to do by hand. They're not really that big of a deal. So the fact of actually putting them in your calculator takes a long time anyway. You can see this is a process that takes a while to put in all the buttons, get the dimensions of the matrix, blah, 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 blah. But then when you get to this next part, the encrypting, finger-licking code, I got hungry when I was reading this. It's about food and all that stuff. It talks about encoding matrix, and then what you need to do is decode. And that's what I'm going to do up here. So make sure you understand and do the reading so you know what letters represent what numbers. Reverse that, what numbers represent what letters. Make sure it is like this one. So here we have a coding situation. It's like a secret message, exactly like Enigma and what happened in the movie and how they had to decode these messages that meant absolutely nothing until they got the right cipher in order to figure out. And then, obviously a lot more happened to it. So right here, M was the matrix that coded or encoded this message, made it indecipherable for anyone else. It's a secret message. Okay, but the message was not written in letters, it was written in numbers, where A equals 1, P equals 16, Z equals 26, and any space would be 27. So what they did is they got the sentence out, put the numbers that represent those letters, and then they multiplied it by matrix M to jumble it all up and make it indecipherable. So how can we decipher it? What do you think I do with matrix M with the coded message? Multiply it by the what? Inverse. Okay, so now this is what you need to understand. This represents a coded letter, coded letter, coded letter, coded letter, 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 letter. Okay, so that's how many letters we may have. Maybe some spaces in here. Okay, and that original message was coded by this matrix. So what we need to do is find the inverse of this matrix and then multiply it by these numbers somehow. All right. Notice how many numbers I have. How many do I have? Actually, luckily, this works out real well for us. 9. Now, I'll tell you what I did wrong. What I did wrong in the other hour was I took this matrix. I did put this symbolism on it because I know we have not talked about doing an inverse of a 3x3 by hand. But here's where I went wrong. See, it all matters. How was this coded? Was it coded where the numbers go in a row like this or in a column? I went -10, 101, blah, blah, blah. Then I pressed enter and I got a bunch of weird numbers. When actually every number should be between what and what? When I'm done decoding this, what should every number be between? 1 and 27. So it was by the time the bell was about to ring, I freaked out, blah, 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 blah. So this was coded where we went this way, and you need to understand that this is the order of the letters. All right, and then they will be sensical. They will make sense, and it will be a decoded message. So I didn't know that until I looked at the key, and then I noticed, okay, yeah, it really matters which way this goes. So if this ever happened to you, and I told you something, what you'd have to do is just rewrite the matrix in another way. So now we're lucky. Okay, so all I did, these are the numbers or letters in order, ciphered, encoded. We got to multiply it by the inverse of this coding matrix to decipher the message, which is kind of sort of how Enigma worked. So here we go. Maybe. I think there were some matrices involved. Of course, it was a much more complicated process than this. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Alpha. Boom. 3x3. I don't think you need to watch me type this online. What we're also talking about here is making sure when you read the next page, you know what it means to the encoding matrix. That means that's the matrix that jumbled up the numbers. Now you got to decode it by multiplying by the inverse. And you got to read the next page so you do everything in the correct order. Inverse of that times. All right, so I'm going to stop again. And okay, so I went ahead and did the multiplication. I got my numbers. What's 25 represent? Y. What's 15 represent? Oh, I'm getting excited. This I feel like the guy on the Christmas Story. Drink more Ovaltine. What's 21? You, me. What's 18? Because again, it goes in this order. R. What's 27? Space. What's 14? N. What's 1? A. That's easy. What's 13? And then what's E? Well, it's E, I mean. Okay, E's a letter. And then, oh, there's the riddle. Oh my gosh. What belongs to you but other people use it? Okay, now, read the second pages. There's only 8 questions. I almost choked on those, the directions. You should be able to do those, a couple with no calculator. But then maybe some others do with. And you'll be amazed, actually. You probably go faster without a graphing calculator because it does take a long time to type these matrices in. So go ahead. That's your homework, those first 8. I don't know if I'm going to put a key because I got